Podcast's been interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done pretty well, I think, in the ratings. At first, it was like, we're looking every day to see what the ratings are, what our chart position is. So from that perspective, we've been told by a lot of people in the industry that our chart position, I think, was at 40 odd or something like that in the iTunes chart. It was a great position for us at such an early stage of doing these things. So I think it's been well received from that perspective, and it's interesting how many people have listened to the podcast that I wouldn't have thought of. I was in London the other week speaking to someone, and I won't say who it was, but I didn't expect somebody of that magnitude to have said, oh yeah, I've been listening to your podcast. I was at Man United watching a game with a client about 3 weeks ago. Somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, is it Paul Cheetham? And I said, yeah. And he said, I did come and meet you about 5 or 6 years ago, and I've been listening to your podcast. So cool. I think from that perspective, it's been quite successful in getting out there in the message. But I think the people we've had on has helped that, because I think we had some great guests, and we'll talk about it in a bit, but we've got some fantastic guests coming up for Series 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, my next question, which sort of links into what I've just asked you really, was that part of the reason you created it was to invite people into kind of the unique world of Sudulo, as is happening, both as clients and as interviewees.
Exactly. And so we're always trying to bring people on who are, like I say, within our world. So that was always, we wanted to keep it within the world of Sudulo. The reasons we were doing podcasts were because we wanted to talk about the struggle. If you look at every single podcast we did, almost bar none, there was no podcast, coming back to what I said before, of anyone, whether it's the guy who's got runs a £5 billion PLC, or the client that is an author and just has him in his own business. Yeah. All of them consistently were overcoming adversity. And one of the reasons I wanted to do the podcast is because when you originally asked me in episode 1 why you're doing it, was because I don't feel there's enough spoke about the struggle. Yeah. There's not enough talk about actually how hard it is. And I'm ironically going through that phase again. Yes. Yeah. I'm going through a little bit of pain and exposure, and why is that not working as well as that was working 4 months ago? And why are we not hitting the figures that we hit there? And we should, and without doubt, across the whole thing, if you look at Pete Cowgill, he got kicked out of JD, or he left. I don't remember the exact thing, but certainly he left JD and then went in. It was a bit of a Steve Jobs type scenario. Well,
and Sandeep and Seema talked in theirs about, you asked them actually, because they got to that point where they were really comfortable, they were earning a really nice amount, and it was all balanced, but they pushed it over the edge to go bigger and went through that stage, and that's what's happening to you now. So, I mean, I guess feeds nicely into the next question, which is, what are the most valuable lessons that you've learned from all these people that you've interviewed? Because I would say that is
for me, that was the biggest one. And that was the one I wanted people to see. And that's the one, as we continue, I want people to keep getting that. Because it's for people who are feeling on the up. They're just going doing what the continuation of what they've been doing. It's the people that sometimes in that struggle that might want to give up. Yeah. Or they might think the self-doubt might come in, or they haven't got that sounding board to think, is this normal? I was doing really well like 6 months ago. Why am I not doing really well now? So for me, that was a major part of doing it, and I think that came out. So it gave me reassurance when I'm speaking to, Pete Cowgill in his mid-60s, who's, done it all. There was a time 20 years ago, or whatever it was, where actually he had to leave JD and then come in. Sandeep and Seema, they got to a level where they could have been like that forever, decided, and I think Holly Moore was exactly the same.